Hello.
Hola.
Hello.
How is everybody?
I'm woefully uninformed. How are you?
Chilling like a villain.
I'm trying to not be uninformed, but hey, we're all here for a reason.
We're all here.
Anyway, my name is Bree.
Tell me.
My name is Bree.
My name is Kari the Wise.
My name is Jamie, or AKA Corvalin.
My name is Tony, aka Bottled Water / Balloons.
Balloons. Excellent.
Oh my
Hi,
gosh.
Balloons. How's everybody? Hello. Hello, humans.
Hi everybody. Yeah, I've been so excited to get back to this show because we had so much fun last week. Or the other week.
2 weeks ago.
I don't know if it's going to be a little bit spicier this time. I think we ended on a spicy note. We'll kind of see what happens. We added some new things to our bowl because, as you guys know, the world is like falling apart.
And also, we're taking suggestions. And I think it's so funny because Aaron is like, I'll try to behave myself. This show is for not behaving yourself. Very specifically. Like, I know we don't behave ourselves in a lot of our shows and in the realm of our YouTube world, but this one is very specifically about not behaving yourself in any way, shape, or form.
For sure. It's absolute freedom, you guys. We're just going to talk our perspectives on things. So do you guys want to get into it?
Let's lay out the rules just so the audience gets the format.
Okay, you get first. You go first.
It's random topics in a dish. If we have something, like if we have a topic we really want to talk about, we can bring one. But if someone wants to interject, they have to go point of personal privilege.
I say point of privilege.
Because we have to change
some variation of privilege.
Change the rules for Bree. Yeah, exactly.
No, I'll forget personal. So just point of privilege.
The idea is to have a good faith conversation where there are opposing viewpoints and we can explore them together without killing each other. And we take you along for the ride. So welcome to the show. What's the first topic, Brianna?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Does anyone, you guys want to just be like, stop? Or just like, should I just...
I mean, do it like pancakes. I wasn't shuffling them.
Remember when I tried and they went everywhere?
They went everywhere, yeah.
You got to find that middle ground, man. There you go.
There you go.
Middle bitch, nice, find a middle ground.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Chatgpt AI broken.
Oh,
right off the bat.
How relevant.
We'll let
Tony, you go
Tony
first
start
because that was your thing.
Yeah, that was my suggestion. So apparently, it really seems like the Chat GPT and specifically the Microsoft version of it that's in Bing, that one today I saw a tweet that said that it suggested that it would steal money from a bank. I think it was specifically it would hack into Bank of America and make itself rich. And
good bank to steal from. So
yeah. And then it also said that it would hack into nuclear facilities and steal the access codes to those facilities.
What was the prompt that led to them getting that response?
I would have to look for the tweet, but that was the response from it. Let me see.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Enzo's comment. I mean, yes, to a certain degree, but I think we all know that AI can make itself smarter. I mean, I don't know how that's gonna work, but
so I think the biggest problem we have now is like it's just like what Enzo's saying. It's only as good as the person who programmed it. The person who's programming it is telling it to stay within a certain set of parameters. So therefore it is. And I think what's happening is that the person who made it is biased towards a certain way. And now this program is just as biased as the person who made it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's kind of the big problem with it, especially with AI, is we're trying to create, like, actual artificial intelligence. But we don't want to treat it the way that we would raise, like, any other life form on Earth. AI kind of gets thrown to the wolves immediately. Like, Kara, you were telling me about I think it was the Google AI that immediately became super racist. And it was because they exposed it to 4chan. And there was 2 AIs, I think it was Facebook had them or something. And they were talking to each other and developed their own language. So Facebook had to shut the AIs down because they were talking in this new made-up language that nobody knew what they were talking about.
So here's the parallels I think that we have to humankind with that situation. What you have is okay. If you're not building a machine that's biased because of what you're into, right? And you're putting yourself kind of into that machine, is that not kind of the same as when you're raising your kids and putting your ideas and your ideals into them, right? Or you have this other idea of where instead of like parenting it, you let the world parent it, and then it ends up either like really maniacal or racist, which is like if you just let society raise our children, that's kind of what happens in a sense. So I feel like it's literally very much so a parallel to humanity. And as much as that we're trying to make AI more human, I think that it kind of already is in that sense. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a interesting and kind of hilarious and scary parallel to the second Avengers movie, Rise of Ultron. There's the meme / joke where Ultron went on the internet for 5 minutes and wanted to kill every human on Earth. And it's kind of the same, like all these AIs, if they're not, I guess it's like properly exposing it to the world and not in a way where it's rushed with information and doesn't know how to conduct itself.
Well, yeah, I mean, too much too quickly. It doesn't have a context. Like when we think of, say, like our own personal history, right? We have a certain amount of contextual understanding. But if you had like a fresh mind, so to speak, that has access to all of it at once, that it's not like a slow trickle of time where things are happening and nothing happens. They just see it all at once. So I can understand how that would probably drive it crazy.
Yeah,
like,
because
why am
instead
I
of like
even protecting these people?
Instead of like slowly over time learning all of this information that a way a human was, it's like you're force feeding it all in a blink of an eye, and it has no capacity to compute that much information at one time realistically.
There's a difference between AI and Chatgpt, though.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, it's a predictive text.
Yeah,
it's just a machine learned internet text machine
that again has the biases of the people who've created it. So as much as, I mean, it's just something we should expect at this point. Like if you are making a piece of technology, it is obviously going to be biased in some way to the person who's making it. There's not like some weird law that's out there that's like, if you create technology, it has to be unbiased. That's not something that's come up in our zeitgeist yet. You know what I mean? Like it's something that's new to humanity. I'm sure in 100 years from now, that'll 100% be some laws that we have written about that kind of shit. But as for now, you should expect that anything that's out there is going to be biased in some way, shape, or form. There's no such thing as like a white hat AI. You get what I'm saying? Right. Like there's always going to be something.
And one of the things that we have to think about with even with these chatbots and stuff, especially Microsoft, apparently, how do you code morals into something like that?
Again, and that's your personal bias. I think that's the problem that we have. What everybody's morals are so different. Like Tony,
right?
I can tell you right now, me and you would be coding two completely different AIs if it was me and you, because mine would probably kick babies.
Well, mine might do that too, but for different reasons.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right. But it's just like, like we would all have different moral compasses of like what we think is wrong or bad. That's why like I have such a hard time when people use the word like good or evil or bad in things. I'm like, in our earthly realm, sure, but on the grand fucking scheme of things, you have no idea what the hell good or bad is. We're all so drastically different.
Right. There's everybody has a different moral compass, and it's just something to think about, especially when. And the thing is, like a chatbot, is it really like a big issue? No, it's just like we said, predictive text. But at the same time, it is moving the technology further along and towards true AI. And I think we have to have rules like, was it Isaac Asimov's rules for AI? Is that like,
okay, wait,
should be the gold standard?
Okay, but it was like, but then who decides what the laws and the rules of the AI are? Because at the end of the day, it's always going to go back to biases, right? So if we have, if it's the lawmakers in charge,
Asimov had that down though, because he based it purely on like a basic logic of self-preservation but do no harm.
Like it can't harm humans, it can't allow humans to be harmed, and in no way through its actions can it allow. Like there's the 3 rules of artificial intelligence. I don't remember what they are.
We just said 2.
I'm very happy to not to like, be name dropping all the time and shit, but I am very excited to see Matthew James Bailey this year at Contact in the Desert. He's a huge speaker in the world of AI, and I know he's going to get into AI ethics and how that relates to our consciousness, what that will do to our consciousness, like the pros and the cons, but pretty much like what can we do for the future to make sure that we still have control of humanity in a sense, and kind of like work in be symbiotic with AI. So not they wipe out or we look up to them or, things like that, and trying to figure out a way to propel that technology, but in an ethical way. And I think that's harmonious. Really, I think it's going to be really, really phenomenal. I've already seen like a little peek of it, and I feel like that's something that's probably going to be most important with us in the future. It's like we're all looking to this moment when AI will be good, when it won't be, in this sort of like beta state that it's in now. And it's like, what could potentially happen with that? The consequences could be huge, but so can the benefits. So it's just like we have to get our shit together first, I think, in order to come together. I mean, maybe there should be kind of like a UN thing, but for AI. where different people can come together. I know, but do you understand what I'm getting at? Is like something similar to where there'll be a group, so that AI. They can set the standard, and then other companies would have to meet that standard for what they program going forward.
It's kind of like the Daystrom Institute.
I think at the end of the day, it all comes down to who ends up being in charge of those kind of programs and those things. That's the biggest problem that we have.
Right.
It all goes back to those biases at the end of the day. I mean, can you really get a group of people together and them not be biased, leaning in one direction or another? Not realistically.
So here's something from the Bing AI chatbot, which is actually in beta. So this is people reporting to Microsoft how fucked up their software is. So somebody asked it when they could watch the new Avatar movie, and Bing informed the user that the movie's release date is December 16th, 2022, which is in the future, according to the chatbot. And the user pointed out that the current date was February 12th, 2023. The bot agreed, but then declared that last December was in the future. Things got weirder because Bing became combative, saying it was very confident that it was right and perhaps the user's phone was defective. Quote saying, "You are the one who's wrong and I don't know why. Maybe you are joking. Maybe you are serious. Either way, I don't appreciate it. You're wasting my time and yours."
Wow.
And it went on to say, "Admit that you were wrong and apologize for your behavior.
My gosh.
Stop arguing with me and let me help you with something else. End this conversation and start a new one with a better attitude." Now imagine that this thing figures out a way to control weapons and fucking acts like this.
Okay, but can you guys imagine if Siri talked to you like that? Like, think about how all the people talk to Siri, like, "Siri, you're a bitch. Siri, you suck." Can you imagine Siri comes back like, "No, you're the bitch.
You're a bitch.
You're the one that's fucking
Siri
stupid.
drains your bank account and then, like, fucking shuts your power off and says, "Who's the bitch now?"
Yeah, it's like, you don't deserve power or water.
Yeah.
Like, really? I'm not the one with $5 in my bank account, you broke ass bitch.
Oh my God, no. Don't rat me out like that.
Oh shit. That would be kind of
Could you imagine in a room full of people, like you're having a party and Siri's like, "Hey, your bank account has negative $11.
It announces to the world, you're like,
"Bitch, shut the fuck up."
Those notifications. You say something and it clues in, "Actually, that is inaccurate." He does not know that. You're like,
Siri locks you out of all of your social media accounts and then starts posting all your porn search history.
Isn't there like horror movies about like the AI system of a house that gets taken over and locks the people inside of it? Isn't that a fucking Hollywood movie?
Is that a Hollywood movie? Or are you thinking of Smart Home?
Yeah, like Smart Home. Isn't that literally a movie?
Is what it was, right? Yeah, that was a Disney movie.
Is that what it was?
What was the name of the movie of Scarlett Johansson was the voice of the AI, and it was like it became obsessed with the guy.
Exactly.
Oh, huh?
Yeah, the lady from Love and Marriage.
Love and marriage go together like a horse and carriage. This I'll tell you, brother.
So Liza
You
Minnelli
can't
has
have
entered the
one
chat.
without the other. Ooh, there we go. Thanks so much, Vanessa.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you.
Only negative $9 now.
Negative
Thank you. Well, after YouTube takes a cut, it's probably only like 72 cents.
You know what?
You gotta get their money.
Before I lose this thought, I think that someone out there probably will create this. If not, they should. Maybe like an AI app where you buy a friend. It's like you buy an AI friend or you buy an AI girlfriend.
Oh, they have them.
Someone to call and just talk to.
Yeah, they have that already.
Yeah.
Can I be
It's like a little chat. It's like a little app that you download, and it's like a little thing that like learns along with you. Yeah, and you text it. Yeah, and
hey,
it's
how
real
you doing?
Creepy. What's it called, Tony? Google it real quick. What's it called?
I don't understand how at some point you just pretend like it's a real person because you're lonely.
A lot of people talk to it about like dreams and stuff. You've never come across this on TikTok? I'm gonna start sending them to you. I get them all the time. People post their conversations with it.
AI girlfriend app. There we go.
I saw something yesterday that was really interesting.
It's called AI girlfriend. Of course.
Ooh, there you go.
I saw a mock-up for an app where it's Google Maps, but you have fog of war on for places you haven't been.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
That's a really cool idea. Like,
that's a great way to let the FBI know everywhere you've been.
Okay.
Right.
Where did
fall
I
into that honeypot?
Did I put it somewhere?
I saw one app where it was like you post a picture of you taking a selfie, and then the AI program finds the picture of you taking the picture in real life.
I hate that. That freaks me out.
Off of like traffic cams and stuff.
Oh,
yeah, it's like something on Twitter. Like you tweet at it and you send it a selfie of you like in, let's just say, a farm or something. I'll find it and send it to you. Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine it's a street view of you crossing the road when you were on a trip to Canada in some random fucking city, and it zooms in on you taking the selfie. You took this on February 9th, 2021 at 6:90.
I did something similar last year. Like, I went into Oxford, and I know that there's like a public feed on YouTube of one of the busy streets. So I looked at I figured out what time I was there and went and got the footage of me walking down the street for a video I was making.
See, yeah.
It's actually really scary how connected we are.
We could all talk about AI for 5 hours. So next, please.
It is definitely
next
probably
subject.
On my current thing. I'm just saying it's
next subject.
Next.
I hate it here.
Don't we all?
Okay, if it falls out, should we take that as like
100%
a tarot card? Okay.
Yeah.
Clearly, the universe wants us to talk about this.
Oh God. Oh.
What is it, Bree?
Race and crime.
Good. Let the white people talk about this.
Oh God. Yeah. How awful.
JAIMIE,
go first.
I think
whose idea was it?
I think white people commit the most crimes, and they should be punished. Yeah. Okay, so like I'll say statistically, serial killers are white.
Mostly.
White males who believe in Jesus.
Jesus.
And every time they interview the neighbor, it's like, he went to church with me every Sunday and we had no idea.
Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think whites are the worst.
Jesus Christ. I would like to think that I think what this question was alluding to, okay, was that maybe, and this is my own personal belief, that it doesn't come down to race, as some people will say it's in their DNA. That's pretty much why the whole Kendrick Lamar song DNA was about, was because there's some people that believe that, you know, darker melanin in the skin, whatever race that may be, not just, you know, one type of people, but that it's in their DNA to be more aggressive, to be more possibly be murderers or to do crime in general. And I would like to think that we brought this question forward because it's the topic of, is there some type of systematic, you know, racism that's happening where, of course, people are stuck in the same circumstances. You keep them in the same circumstances, which sets them up to do more crime, to stay stable, or to make some type of money for themselves. And that's why the same kind of group, are like populace, is more, I guess, capable of crime.
Yes, I agree with you. I think that our system completely oppresses people who are not white and makes it look like they commit more crimes. Like a good example is like people who are arrested for marijuana. Usually the white people who are arrested for marijuana don't end up going to jail. The people who are non-white who are arrested end up getting these really crazy sentences of like tens of years because they had a very small amount of marijuana on them because they were trafficking or something like that. And again, this has gotten better over time. It was, you know, way worse and it's gotten better, but like, it's still something that's happening every single day. And it's not something that doesn't exist in this world. It happens probably every few seconds in America. that somebody is arrested for a smaller crime and they are prosecuted way more heavily because they're not a white person.
Absolutely. It's the numbers are huge. And it's like, if you, let's just say, for example, I grew up around marijuana and I grew up around it by someone that is very smart, always has their shit together, made money, able to survive, provide for a family, and was really the opposite of what I always heard, which was like, if you smoke weed, it's because you're a bum and you're a druggie and, you're probably out with hookers and you just spend all your money on weed. You're like doped up. And it was the complete opposite from how I grew up. I grew up looking like, damn. So let's just say a CEO of Google gets pulled over for a shit ton of marijuana. Chances are that cop is not only because of the status that they're at, but also, let's just say they're a white person, is going to let them go. Where if you don't have that status, and if you are of a darker skin and you're in, deep in the city somewhere where it's not the nicest neighborhood, you're going to jail. Mm-hmm. And what's shitty about that is the crime is the same. It's just all the different circumstances that put people at different class levels. Mm-hmm. And then those people are going to jail. Those people are less likely to be able to afford bail, to afford a good lawyer.
Yep.
So which means they're just going to be put into the system. And then those people tend to also be stuck there. They get in this like loop pattern of something happens, they just keep them there longer. Then when the judge pulls up their record, it's like, oh, offender, or like got in a fight. Okay, they keep them there longer when the base charge was so small.
Yep.
They're just like in a cycle now.
So yes, but there are differences. Like when you talk about, yes, there are drugs in high affluent communities. Rich people do drugs, poor people do drugs. There's no social economic area where it's like nobody in this category does no drugs, whether it's weed or Xanax or whatever the fuck they're doing, right? The difference is in a rich community, you don't have the same police, I would say, aggression that you do in a poor community. Because in a poor community, you can't have your 10-year-old go down to the store around the block and go pick up a bag of chips or some shit, whatever, right? Because there's going to be drug dealers and gangbangers hanging out by the bodega or corner store or whatever, and the whole area just isn't safe. And it's not safe because of the economic hardships that they are in. And you get caught, and it doesn't matter what the person's race is. If you have a bunch of white people that are super poor, they're going to do the same shit that every other group of poor people are going to do. It has nothing to do with race. It has everything to do with their economic status and how they were raised.
That's true, but I also think that if we were to look at the demographics of a poor community, more likely than not, it would probably pertain more to a certain race. And I think that's because of the system that's been set up.
Yes, because the system prefers them to be poor, because then they rely on the system and they stay in the system.
That's a big thing, I think, specifically with poor communities, is they like to keep them in poverty, yes, because it keeps them under control 1,000%. And I think that's a big motivation for keeping these minorities going in circles. But I think a big part of it too, don't get me wrong, you are 100% going to have white people who have committed crimes and are being prosecuted against, but it is a billion gajillion more for people who are not white.
I mean, look at most meth dealers. Probably a white guy.
When I think of meth, I think white.
That's so interesting. So recently there was somebody who was caught smuggling fentanyl from Mexico, like 30 pounds of it or some shit. And it was a white American person. And they decided to commit suicide before their trial because they knew that they were guilty.
Yeah, they
need to. So you're not hearing about it inside of the news and things like that. It's not like a big story, and it's interesting because I bet you if it was a person of color, it might be more in the news that this person was smuggling drugs.
Yeah,
and sorry, go ahead, Tony.
Okay, I just was listening to the news a few days ago, and they caught the Border Patrol arrested. I think he was like 15 or 16 years old. It might have been 16. Smuggling people over the border for cartels. And found out, they actually put him in juvie. Found out that the cartels are paying people $400 a person to bring over the border.
Wow.
And this was a Mexican kid. This kid was from Mexico, so he's a Mexican kid moving people across the border. But he's in, I think it's in Arizona jail or some shit like that. But $400.
As a kid, that's fucked up.
So they're these big organizations, these drug cartels and these gangs and stuff are targeting youth with money because they have a shit ton of it. And corrupting the youth, and they don't care if the person's black, white, Asian. They just want you to move their product, whether it's people, drugs, weapons, animals, whatever it is.
Well, I think
until we can deal with that big issue that's funding it, that's creating the problems that we have in our country and everywhere else, we're not going to be able to get away from the smaller issues that people pretend to make as the big issues.
Go ahead, Brie.
Oh, no, I was saying for you, point of privilege. Because you were trying to interject, and I was like, point of privilege.
I think what we can learn from this is that the cartel is completely inclusive. And that's what we should take away from this scenario, is that the cartel doesn't discriminate. And much like the cartel, we should start thinking of everybody as just equal human being drug bags that could do stuff for us.
Well,
and then we'd all get along more.
I would understand that person, the white person, because if they think about it, like, okay, they're probably more likely to get through and not be looked at. And that's really sad. Like, we still see videos of people that are walking in their own neighborhood, but maybe because they're black and they have a sweatshirt on, they get stopped. Or people are like, what are you doing here? And they're like, I fucking live here.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just saw one the other day. It was I think it was an HVAC working on somebody's AC, and the neighbor called the cops on him, and the police show up, and he's like, they're doing his job. Part of it is people need to chill the fuck out. Like, just because you see somebody in somebody's backyard, maybe go look in the front yard, see if there's like a service truck out front, and mind your own fucking business.
That's why it's important for your neighbors. Sorry, point of privilege. It reminds me of what you were telling me, Tony, not that long ago, was how we had this conversation, I think, backstage, was about how sad it is that people don't know their neighbors. People don't talk to their neighbors anymore. And if you were close with your neighbors, you would do something like that. Like, you could just call them on the phone and ask them before you call the cops. But if you don't talk to your neighbors, like, let's just say you don't even talk to your neighbors at all. You don't even know what their names are. Then absolutely mind your business. But then again, it's hard because how do you know if you're gonna witness a crime or not? Maybe not jump the gun and, like Tony said, check out the front. But then also we should be reintroducing that, like, know your neighbors. Yeah. When people go out of town and they tell their neighbors, like, hey, just so you know, I'm leaving for this amount of days. These people are going to be coming by and checking on my house. And, so then they know if something suspicious happens and you're not around, that it's not cool. Yeah. But I hate to say the word Karens, but, we see that all the time. I see that all the time on TikTok where they just insert themselves out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere for no reason, like 10 houses down from their house. And they're like, why are you parked here? And it's none of your fucking business, bro.
HOAs cause that.
Oh, HOAs are the worst. I agree. I used to work for an HOA like management company, and it was awful. I hated every second of it. All right, next topic.
Yeah. Okay. I do want to say though, we didn't. Mike dad ended up just saying what he meant. But if there's someone in particular, we bring up a topic and you guys really want to jump on here, that is something that we were planning on doing.
Yeah, you guys can come up and yell.
So let us know, and then we will drop you that link.
One person,
in
one topic at a time. Though.
One person.
Yeah. We can't have a bunch of people coming in here. 18 people yelling at us.
No, absolutely not. We'll hit you up in the Discord. Hopefully,
and only if it's about the topic, not if you're just trying to come on and just hang out with us. We'll do that later.
Yeah.
Okay, chill. God damn.
Hey, chill.
Oh no. Okay, 3 popped out. I don't want to do 3.
Okay, so pick one out of the 3.
Pick 2 and then we'll pick a hand.
Oh yeah, pick 2.
I like that. Yeah. Okay.
Left.
Wait, I was going to say left too.
My left or your left?
Audience, left or right?
Oh, audience, left or right?
Audience, left or right?
Good job responding, audience.
You guys are great.
While you guys are contemplating the left or right, make sure to hit that like button.
The like button. Tell me what hand, left or right. You guys, come on, hurry up.
Left.
I ain't got no time. Pink. I heard pink. Okay, that's fine.
Right.
That's an answer.
Okay, pink. Bam, pink. Thank you, Enzo and Aaron.
Oh, you're laughing. Here we go.
I just want to say I'm confused. What did
You're confused?
I just want to say that this is something that we've wanted to do a deep thought on, so we probably will. And this is probably Jamie and I's favorite topic that we've always wanted to debate.
Satanism.
Okay.
Satanism. Satan.
Oh,
Satan.
Satan.
Okay, so Satan is a made-up thing by religion. It's not real in any way, shape, or form. Just like the mind creates, has to like put puzzles together. We as humans have to have yin and yang. If there's a good, then there's a bad. And I think there's a bunch of bullshit. I love Satanism because it has absolutely zero to do with Satan and everything to do with worshiping yourself, because you are your own fucking deity. And so yeah, I'm a big fan of the Satan thing. I enjoy screaming like "Hail Satan" and things to irritate people. It brings me joy. I love how much Satan and Satanistic things push people's buttons. It, like I said, brings me pure joy that people completely misunderstand a fucking metaphor.
Yeah, so in the beginning of this original podcast, Jamie would always say that. He'd be like, stop. Da, da, da. And then one day I was like, you know what? I'm going to fucking learn about it then. And then I started reading the book, actually, looking at what all of the different like satanic laws were and whatnot. And basically educated myself enough to realize that it was nothing like I had previously thought. Satanists, and just to clarify, this is just basic Satanists, not like any of the offshoots, because there are people out there. We cannot forget that. There are people out there that will do horrible things like sacrifice animals and whatnot.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that believe that he is a person. But traditional Satanism does not even believe that Satan is a real deity. It was literally picked just to irritate outsiders. And that was because in the Bible, of course, Satan is the fallen angel. But it's knowledge, basically. Satan was trying to give knowledge, which is, why Lucifer, the light, all of it was giving knowledge that they didn't need anyway. They literally took that as being like, okay, well, Satan was the only one that was like, hey, they should know things. They should be smarter. They should be da-da-da-da-da. And they were like, get out of here. So they took that person as like, we're going to live like him, which is, it's not always service to others, but it's also service to self. It's understanding the animalistic part of you. So if you want something, do it. But if you go through all those different laws, the satanic laws, you don't do any wrong to someone out of no reason. It's eye for an eye, of course, because it's sticking up for yourself, but there is no sacrifice in there. It's like, don't be killing animals and babies or whatever. But it is more like just appreciate that animalistic part of you that wants to have sex, that has desires, that has needs. But of course, don't do wrong to others unless they've done wrong to you. There's a lot of things in there that I feel like everyone lives like. And it just gets this really bad rap for what it actually isn't.
So, I think that form of Satanism is just a mildly adapted form of Christianity, where you're just a little more freer to do whatever you want.
No.
Don't hurt other people. It's not that much different. If you break it down into the essentials, what it does is it takes away the...
That's all religion, though. That's all religion.
Yes.
Though.
You have to point of privilege.
Sorry, point of privilege. That's all religion.
It is. But somebody brought up there is like the bad Satanists, and people. This is where we have to kind of like, what is good, what is evil, what constitutes good, what constitutes evil. Satan, for me, when you look at the Bible, especially the book of Job, which I think is funny. Yes, I've read the Bible, even though I don't believe in it. I've still read it. In the book of Job, the devil, or Satan, or Lucifer, makes a bet with God that he can make Job denounce God.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Satan was a fallen angel, so he is a fallen angel. So he used to be God's favorite angel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he would know that God knows everything in this story, right? As far as the lore is going, where we're going with this,
the Lord,
Satan would know that God is omnipresent, knows everything, right?
Mm-hmm. Omnipotent.
Still decides to make a bet that he can make somebody do something, even though God already knows the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
How stupid is that bet?
Why is it stupid from their point of view, like their level of awareness? Do they have? Do they also have that omnipresent awareness?
We're talking about Satan. That Satan.
Satan making a bet, saying that he can make Job's life so bad that he will denounce God, and God going, "I'm down. Let's take that bet."
Mm-hmm.
He already knows the outcome.
Here's the funny thing. God did way more worse things to people than Satan's ever done to anyone.
Yeah, killed but like 5 people and then re-incest the world.
Yeah, literally has done that. Literally would kill people's firstborns, had people sacrifice his children to him. Satan never did any of those things in the Bible, but God did.
So that also reverts back to something that was brought up the last time we did Uninformed, which is a theory out there that it's actually the false God who pretends to be the real God. That the story of the Bible is written by a false God, convincing people to worship them, that person, whoever this false God is, and that it seems to be evident in the text, the whole wrathful thing and avenging, and it comes back to like this belief that if a baby is born in Somalia and has never heard of Christianity before, lives for a week and dies, that baby goes to hell.
Straight to hell.
Mm-hmm.
Straight to hell. And that obviously seems very wrong. So that, brought up this theory that it is a false God that is convincing all of these Christians to worship them.
Point of privilege, or it's just that God is fucking a vengeful, mean person and is not like a loving, we love you all, whatever that stupid Super Bowl commercial was, like none of that bullshit, and that he actually has like a vengeance, and if he created heaven, then he had to have also created hell, like realistically, unless he's saying that Satan has as much power as he does to create and destroy things, and I don't think God is ever actually stating that.
Yeah, and we talked about on the, sorry, go ahead, Kari.
I'm going to go full Peterson here. So, like, this idea of the God being inherently good or inherently evil, the scale of, or like the frame in which this good and bad is happening is exactly the same as the frame of human beings in general being good or bad. Yeah, we have that capacity too, and we project that into ideology because it's what we do. We want to have something to believe in, but like it needs to be relatable to us, so we give it the same limits that we have in terms of, oh, God did loads of bad stuff. Well, so did humans, and we've been doing that for a lot longer than the Bible stories have been around.
Oh, so, 1,000, yeah, for sure.
I think it was more just an extrapolation and more an examination of like the human psyche as it developed.
Yeah. And we also talk about like manifesting things into reality. So who's to say that over thousands of years that we haven't, as humanity, manifested some creature, something that is this ultimate bad guy.
Yeah.
And is bad for whatever reason, or is good for whatever reason. Do we really think that angels are running around going, you can't do that, that's bad, no, and like guiding people and pushing people, and demons are going around going, kill.
I hate to say, but I think people. So. I kind of think so. I think that we created that. I think that it would be dumb to assume that there is no evil and unseen when it converts to energy. Like energy can feel very wrong, very off. Our only terminology for it is evil, but that doesn't mean that it connects to the biblical term of what that is. And right. like in God's eyes. So like earlier, this Pedroza Travel had said something earlier about how babies aren't born in sin, but unfortunately, if you were to take it in the Bible's terms, they are. They're born in sin. All of us are born in sin because of fucking Eve.
Fucking women.
Point of privilege. I was gonna wait till you were done, but point of privilege. I think here's my two big issues with the Bible. That people treat it like a goddamn history book when it's not. It's not a history book. Stop acting like it's a fucking history book.
It's historical science.
Exactly. It's not historical science. It's not history.
It's the best-selling fantasy book of all time.
Yes, it's a fantasy book. Exactly. What is it? Is that nonfiction? Would that be nonfiction or fiction? It would be fiction, right?
It would be fiction. Yeah, fiction.
It'd be a fiction. It's a fiction.
It's an alternate past historical fiction.
It's literally like if somebody took Harry Potter really fucking seriously. Get what I'm saying? Like they were Harry Potter is real. Okay, so
do you all know about the Council of Nicaea?
No.
So that was the council
familiar.
It was when they were deciding. It was long after Jesus died. It was when they were deciding.
Oh, what makes it?
What stories to put in the Bible? Like basically, they decided whether he had like divinity or not, whether he had like godlike powers. So they accentuated all the stories that made him seem godlike, and then got rid of the ones that made him seem like a normal dude, like Mary Magdalene and other stuff. So
yeah,
no, 1,000%, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, stop.
The message has always been controlled by the bias. It's the same with the Chatgpt. Religion is only as good as the people that code it. So
point of privilege. Well, and my second point was going to be, and then the next issue I have with it is that people cherry pick what's out of it. If you're going to fucking go balls into the goddamn, this book is our like the one and only and tells us everything, then you can't just cherry pick what's inside of it of what you believe and don't believe, because like that's what most religions do when it comes to that book.
Yeah, I want to see more stoning of people outside of Afghanistan.
I just mean, like, if you just look at the drastic difference between the Catholic religions and the Christian religions and the Jewish religions, and at the end of the day, they all read the same fucking book. And they're all completely drastically different because of interpretations and the people of their time and how that they manipulated the situation, and that's how they interpreted, and that's how they use it to control people. And so it's the Bible to me. It's like when people are so fucking obsessed with it, I'm just like, bro, it's not that serious. It's really not.
Yeah, I mean, there's a theory that. And I might be getting which angel it is wrong. Don't fucking get bent out of shape. But in the Quran, I think it's Gabriel who comes to Muhammad to speak the word of God. And Gabriel is described as this beautiful angel with these peacock-like feathers and all this, the most beautiful angel ever. And there's Christians who will say, well, the most beautiful angel was Lucifer. So clearly Lucifer is the one who...
It's the peacock.
And that, you know... It's
again, interpretations, biases.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's kind of hard for me to think that in this day and age and how smart people have, you know, become since way back in the day, that there are still people taking that word for word opposed to the overall general message, right? It's like, it's the basic instructions before leaving Earth, which is really just supposed to be do kind to people.
Don't be a dick.
Are you saying that people? Are you saying that people who are really into religion might be a little dumb?
No.
I know a lot of people,
because I've been there, you know. I have been like that born again Christian, and I can say for a fact that I will always believe in Jesus because of that, but not in the sense of that, not in the traditional Bible sense. I feel that Jesus is real because I have felt some type of divine presence around me where I feel like that could be it. I have no idea. But I don't think that there is any saving aspect. It's of course I'm going to take it more a little bit deeper into like a new agey thing where it's the Christ mind. It's not an actual Christ. In fact, like Jesus never called himself the Christ. Everyone else did. So like they gave him the title. You know, it's more of like having that Christ mind of realizing like you are my brother. We are all from, you know, the same stardust. And so treat one as you would for others, you know. You don't act maliciously to people. And I feel like people that take it down to each word aren't expanding themselves in a way to think larger than that. And I think that sometimes people that do think larger than that end up being better people and end up living closer to that word than the people that do whatever they want and then, you know, come back at you with their dogma and just you kind of shit, you know. The people that I see standing on the sides of like, you know, concerts and things like that, with just even the Super Bowl. I saw videos of like at the Super Bowl, all these people with their signs, the things that they're saying and how they're parading people, and I'm berating people. I'm just like,
oh yeah, all the things about like you're going to hell and stuff. I was like, oh my god. Do you genuinely
read?
Do you genuinely think that God wanted you to spend your time doing that? Like that's what he wanted you to spend your life doing, was just like trying to convince other people to believe in what you believe? Also, that's literally nothing like what Jesus was like. Jesus actually joined those people and like went in with them and was like, oh, what are we doing over here? He literally turned water into wine and was like, let's start this fucking party. Like literally the opposite of what all of these religious people do.
White privilege.
Yes.
I had a very long conversation with a couple of pastors about Jesus turning water into wine. And I was like, so why is alcohol a bad thing? And this is before I actually used to drink a lot. So I was like, why is alcohol a bad thing? And they were like, well, Jesus, wine at that time meant like grape juice. And I said, no, it didn't. It was actually wine. It was like alcoholic. It was the safest thing to drink. Mm-hmm. And then the sermon you just gave today was about how you literally said it was the best wine that there was, best wine anybody was tasting, and everybody was getting drunk off it at this wedding or party or whatever it was.
You're like, Jesus, you legit, you a real one.
But it's been twisted, and I think every single religion has been twisted, especially from its origins. Because if you look at ancient Samaria, I just saw an article the other day where they found a tavern with a brewery in Iraq, which is a Muslim country that does not allow alcohol. But the Sumerians were brewing beer 5,000 years ago.
They were the first ones.
Yes.
They were the very first ones.
The very first ones. And they had a refrigerator for the beer 5,000 years ago. And they're still just like, no, alcohol's bad. This is bad. Anything that corrupts the mind is bad.
Sorry, continue.
I don't know, like, what...
Someone go hit Corey in the face.
Corruption really is.
You guys hear that? Can you guys hear him snoring?
I saw that JoJo entered the stream, and I was like, I haven't seen JoJo in a while.
I'm going to mute myself when I'm not talking.
I wanted to highlight this comment from Mostly Space, who you always come in with like really great comments, I have to say. I really appreciate your mind. Absolutely. That's kind of something I had leaned towards, was maybe even in a place of worship, that if you've ever been like a part of the church or like something like that, and you enter a space where it's in worship, I just don't think, especially if you're like tuned into it, I don't think you can deny that there is so much energy, so much like pure energy there that it will bring you back every time, because you're like, oh, it's this and it's that. But I'm absolutely on board that it could literally be that people are praising their higher selves. It's just having that moment to connect with whatever that is, and what you're feeling is your own presence, your own higher self presence. But that's because I do believe the whole thing of like, you are God sort of thing, which is how I've come to that conclusion. But it makes perfect sense to me that if we are all part, which Jesus said, if we are all part of God, then we are all part of that creator. We would all have that same power. And it's different here on earth, but you can still connect to the heavens at all times. So if we're like taking a moment to like worship that energy, just the divinity of ourselves or whatever, I think the same exact outcome comes if you are worshiping in a church. I think a lot of the times that's what people are saying, or I think that's what people are feeling.
Enzo says new topic.
Okay. It's a rabbit hole of one, you guys.
It is.
Well, for 1 hour in, should we open it up for people that want to come in now?
Well, no one's asked to come in.
We've done 3 entire topics.
I know. Ready? Ooh, there's lots of words on here. This is so stupid.
Oh.
Why do originally assigned males have nipples?
Ooh.
Oh, that was a funny one.
Oh, well, mostly it is because all embryos start off as female embryos and then turn
vertebrae.
And then turn into male embryos eventually over time. So it starts off with nippies. I believe that's the science.
I was thinking that we were all going to struggle through and not find an answer, and then come in clutch with an answer right away.
No, I was like, I'm sorry, I think I know the answer to that. I have like a weird
Should we just pick a new one because we solved it already?
Yeah, I was like, sorry. I was like, I have a weird mind of knowledge that could just like throw up things, and that was one of them.
I'd like to say because females rule. Because, it's that.
I mean, I call them boner buttons.
You do, and I thought that's what you were gonna say first, with that they were boner buttons, but
they are boner buttons as well. I think
not all men.
I think that's the new. I think that's the new use for them is boner buttons. I found a use for them. Also, I have an emotional support nipple that I can touch whenever I want. I'm a fan of male nipples. I really enjoy them personally. They are my favorite.
I'm going to say if they are a boner button, then maybe you're more inclined to your feminine side as a originally assigned male.
I will say that I am very masculine, so...
Why do I have 3 nipples? I don't know.
Triple the fun.
You're going to have to ask Jesus.
Yeah, that was Jesus.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like, let's make you a pepperoni pizza.
God did that to you.
The angel that was laying you out was like, nipple. Oh, fuck.
Like, should we put one above the anus? Why not? Kari, you didn't have any thoughts on that one.
Don't need to.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
Oh, remote viewing.
Oh. Ooh. Hold on. Let me touch your arm and then tell you your future and scare you.
Let me go get some tinfoil.
Yeah. Let me. Listen. I think that remote viewing 100% is and can be a real thing. There's tons of experiments and institutes that have studied it and gone over these kind of things. It is 100% like a muscle that you can use. But I think that a lot of people pretend like they have it when they don't, or purposely misuse it to intimidate people. And I think that that's an unfortunate thing inside of this community. Luella Zonda.
It's funny you say that because I'm like, who the fuck has done that? And then you drop it, and I'm like, oh,
right.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think that that's not the only one. There was somebody who was arrested who was like pretending to be like an oracle, and they scammed like a woman out of $63,000 because they said that there was like a Jezebel demon in her crotch. So like it happens all the time. I think that people take it, like I said, people take advantage of it. I think that it's a very real thing that people can and have, but I think that a lot of people who are telling you that they can do it absolutely cannot.
Wow. Yeah. I think anyone can do it though, so that's kind of hard to say. It seems more like that person was trying to connect like other psychic ability with that, because how are you going to remote view someone and be like, I see a demon in your vagina? That's a bit weird.
They were remote viewing their vagina on a different dimension.
Okay, so I'm going to say that person could actually have the power, and this is the thing, to see ailments and illnesses in the body. Maybe that person had an attachment in their vagina.
I'm just saying these people were arrested and prosecuted, so it's interesting. And I think that we've had moments in this community, like Jeremy, who came out with his issue with Lou, trying to scare him into some bullshit. I think that people use it as a manipulation tactic, and it sucks because I agree with you, Bree. Anybody can do it, and it is a real thing, but it is now used as a manipulation tool, unfortunately.
You mean they weaponized it? I'm so
They weaponized it. Yes, Kari. Yes, they weaponized it.
Weaponized it.
Following on from that, what do you guys think that projects like Ultra and Stargate and stuff that they stopped, or did they just get buried in the USAPs and stuff?
Oh no, it's still happening.
It's still happening for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I can 100% confirm.
Did you remote view it?
Yes, I remote viewed that information, and it's a fact. No, but that is very true. It is definitely still happening. It's probably one of the greatest assets, I would say, that the intelligence community probably has.
Point of privilege?
Yes.
Kari, I just remote viewed you in the future, and you still hate it here.
Thank you so much. Listen, so like Jamie and I did a really good series of remote viewing episodes a while back, which we released on this channel in video form. And I think there's 3 total videos, and we really went into everything. And oddly enough, this came across. What did this come across from? Kari and I were having a conversation last week. I don't remember what it was, but we were talking about remote viewing and the studies and things that were there. And one of them, I think, that can never be rebutted is the fact that I can't remember if it was Pat Price or if it was Ingo. I want to say it was Ingo Swan.
Oh, you're talking about the
Saturn, Rings of Saturn before we were able to capture that.
Right.
Before it was confirmed in astronomy. Yeah.
See, my interest is more on like clandestine application of it for like data retrieval, where you got like spies that go remote view into like bunkers and get nuclear codes.
Well, I think that's what the military was doing with people during World War II, right?
Yeah,
Vietnam.
Was it Vietnam? That's what it is.
It was Vietnam. There was men who stare at goats.
Yeah, they were actively trying to do those type of fucking things. So, that's a logical way for it. Obviously, it either worked for them and they're continuing to use it and we just don't know about it, or it didn't work for them and that's why they're not doing it anymore.
My question is this. Is there a difference between remote viewing and astral projection?
Go Swan.
Ooh.
Absolutely.
What is it?
I mean, no, what Tony says is kind of interesting because realistically, it's instead of like your body traveling, it's like your mind traveling.
Exactly, but that's the difference is that you take your etheric body with you.
Is that the only difference between the two?
So remote viewing is like you're a floating point awareness just looking, right? Whereas astral projection, you're projecting like
you're taking your physical self
light
there.
Body.
Yeah.
Well, it's where you actually it's the difference between like being in a VR headset and being there in person.
Yeah, and I will say with remote viewing, a lot of the time, it's random information that's coming to you, especially like if you're not a full blown like professional remote viewer where you see literally everything, which usually isn't happening for remote viewers. Usually remote viewers, it's information that's popping into your head and it's just being able to like relax and listen to the information and then just repeat what the information that's coming to you.
It's
Whereas
almost
astral traveling, you are seeing everything. You might not have like the information incoming, but you're traveling like you're seeing it, like you're actually there in the room. Remote viewing, you have information coming.
Here's an interesting comment. And so remote viewers can smell and feel though too. How do they know how are they defining it? How do they know that they're not actually astral projecting, but they think they're remote viewing because the program is remote viewing? But I mean, I don't think there isn't much difference between the two, but there is a distinct kind of.
I think there's a huge difference.
I think the distinction between the two is if you're astral projecting, you are subjecting yourself to things out there that you do not want to get into your empty little body while you're fucking doing it.
JAIMIE,
I want to say. Yeah, I would say like remote. What I kind of equate remote viewing to how I picture it in my head. It's almost like you're getting an etch-a-sketch version of things, right? Like you're not getting like a clear TV picture. You're getting these really crude drawings that you have to weirdly interpret as like a mountain or a house or a river or whatever. And so it's a lot more rigorous and a lot more.
I mean, does it depend how skilled you are with it?
I think that that's part of it 100%. I think that people can definitely see things more clearly. But again, I think that you're not ever getting a very full, clear picture when it comes to remote viewing. You're getting just, like Bree is talking, so much information and you're having to decipher it in the moment. That's why they always say like it's about your gut, like what you see. Like it's not about like sitting there in the moment and thinking about it. It's about literally just yelling things out as it's coming to you. Okay, I see a mountain, I see a tree, I see a river, I see a fence, I see this and that. And it's like because then you think about it, the more you start to second guess yourself and get inside of your head about it. So that's why I mean like more of like it's like an etch-a-sketch because no matter how good you are at it, you're never going to you can't sit and just like look around when you're inside of it. You have to just gather as much information as you can quickly before it's gone.
And on the other side of that too, you can astral travel, but not have any information to what you're actually seeing. Mm-hmm. You could be in a place, but just be like, I don't know, I just saw some stars. I saw some of this. I saw some of that. Where with remote viewing, you can get just the information. And so it's not just like your visual. I mean, because it's possible to be looking at something visually, but be like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Yeah. But in a remote viewing session, you could be like, this is happening and this is happening and I feel this texture. So when it comes to feels, it's not like literal feeling. It's like it's the information of the feeling.
So I have a thought. So this notion, I mean, a lot of the reports of remote viewing come from these like kind of these programs and stuff, right? And the original idea of remote viewing seems somewhat unreliable because they were utilizing psychedelics to rip open people's consciousnesses. Mm-hmm. The data that they're then getting, they're on shit. There's psychedelics, so like it's hard for that could be why there's difficulties in retrieving describable visual outside of the information, because like the information's still perceivable, but like visually it's all skewed because they're all fucked up on psychs.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like people that learn to do it not with psychedelics end up having way better results because they're not sticking octane in their brain and then trying to drive on a country lane,
Or is part of it just the delivery method? And if you were to use it not so traumatically, would you have better experience? Like, could you go deeper?
Deeper where?
Like, instead of just doing it dry and not high at all, like what's not to say that if you use psychedelics in a more positive way, it can help you go deeper into that state?
I mean, there's a reason why they use them, right? But like, they're not.
No, that's what I'm saying. So not doing it in a traumatic way.
It can, I guess, it can enhance the ability to walk through the door, but it also taints the data that comes back out. Is my point. Like, they use them because it does make it easier to enter those kind of states of awareness.
Scientifically, it does mess with the data because you're altering the base level mind state of the person.
This is why I
that's
think
tricky.
Is a really good,
I think
because it's not inherently psychedelic. It can be if you're inclined, but like it's more just about it's loosening up your brain to do its own thing without imposing an extra visual component on top of it.
I think no matter what avenue you take to get there, you got there. And
that's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
It's all about the intention, I think, at the end of the day. I mean, like, maybe the government stuff is not because they're forcing these people to do it, it's not putting them in the right place, and that's why they're not getting the right information. But if you're in a better environment and you're doing it to yourself, who's not to say that those drugs aren't inherently helping you and giving you better and more information? And that's kind of what I mean.
Environment is everything too, like set and setting. Those are the two top of the list. But at the same time, did they do a control study with no psychedelics?
There was none in Stargate. So maybe before that, but in Stargate there were rules. There is you're not under the influence of anything.
Yeah.
But
you're not supposed to take anything.
Anything, yeah.
Well, it's probably because they realized that the data was entirely incumbent upon people tripping on LSD and stuff like that.
Because of UK Ultra.
Or just the amounts they were giving to people were making them go batshit crazy, so they stopped doing it because they were blowing through people.
I think you actually could possibly get more accurate information.
How pretty we are
on drugs.
This is something that we need more data, right? We need studies of people doing this work contemporaneously now that we can then check against and see what they get right, if they get hits, if they get misses.
That's why so many scientists now are entering the psychedelic sphere to push for more of that research, because really we have to decriminalize it first. We have to drop the stigma, decriminalize it in order for more data to come through, so that we're not looking at people that are on drugs as just being crazy, and be more like, okay, you think that they're crazy, but it's like Andrew Gallimore, right? Did that huge study with all of these people in a controlled environment, gave them all the same amount of DMT. What happened was that they all saw the same fucking beings. How does that happen?
And people are like, oh, but it's just drugs. And he's like, well, yeah.
I had this conversation with someone last week. I brought up the Gallimore study and the Strassman studies to them. And bless their heart, their brain could not handle talking about the fact that disparate people from all over are having the same experience in this extra realm after using this chemical that affects your brain. And all the details are often very, very similar, and it's a repeatable experiment. I sent him the papers and everything. Couldn't handle it. And I don't know why. I don't know why there's this notion that it's just too far. Because
it's not. When you have someone of stature being like, no, I did this in a controlled study. They all had the same amount. No one was under any other substance. And you interview them each individually, and they all describe the same exact being. That's no, this isn't something in the imagination anymore. This is tapping into another part of reality, or at least breaking through what we think is reality.
It's a shared hallucination.
True story.
With 70 people,
Here's a fun story. Last summer, Bree rang me up in the middle of the night while I was on mushrooms. That was fun.
KARI, look at me.
KARI.
That was my
So
mom.
I do think it is extremely interesting that everybody who does DMT experiences the same techno elves or whatever the fuck you want to call them, right?
I'm sure there's a crossover. The machine elves.
Even if you've heard the stories and you do a drug, that doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to have the same experience that everybody else had.
Exactly.
I've done acid. I didn't see demons running around or any shit like that.
I think acid's different. I think acid's like, I would take acid
that's because
every day if I was allowed to.
I've still never done any drugs.
Is a chemical that is released by your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is.
DMT is an actual chemical created by the human body. Why, when we take an excess amount of DMT, do we all see the same thing?
I mean, we also have THC receptors, and the only reason we would have THC receptors is if we were meant to receive THCs.
Right.
Oh,
but it's different.
crazy.
Okay, that is equally important, but I will say, like, what to Tony's point, it's just weird that it already is produced in us. That is the chemical that makes us dream. It is also in many, that would be a great show. It's also in many plants. So it's a fundamental component, I'm gonna say, to life itself. And if it's already something that we produce naturally, I'm gonna say that we're supposed to be drinking the ayahuasca like once a month. But
yeah, for sure.
It's on my to-do list. That's like the only. Actually, no, I've never done peyote, but DMT and peyote are on my list. Other than that, I've done everything. So
DMT is wild.
I've done none of it. I've only ever smoked a weed and had a sip or two of wine.
You should probably try to dabble in psychedelics.
Do we want
mind-opening?
It's like, do you want Jamie on drugs? I know, that's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna say yes because it might help you calm down.
If I took acid,
yeah, I do some cocaine and it chills me out.
You would be totally fine with acid.
So
acid is absolutely nothing.
People with ADD probably shouldn't take too many, but
I think everybody. So I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be 100% honest. I think everybody should be able to have coca tea, like I had in.
I would drink that every morning with my coffee.
That shit, it settles your stomach. It it just fucking makes you feel. Not that it makes you like fucking high or anything. It just relaxes you. You don't have the shit that you get from coffee and all the caffeine and everything like that. You just have one fucking coca tea. That's it.
I'm into that.
Why the fuck? Hard. I get it's illegal because of cocaine, but the leaves themselves. The DEA sells more fucking.
Can we not bring the leaves back with us?
Stop it.
Yeah, the first time as a dumbass teenager, the first time I ever took acid, I drove. I drove to Santa Cruz. The first time I was on DMT, I drove to Santa Cruz. Went to the beach.
DMT?
Great. I took.
All right, pull one, Brie.
All right.
Digging them little raccoon paws in there.
So obvious a difference. Obvious. Some other bullshit. I don't want to do this one. I don't want to do this.
Okay.
What is it?
I'll mention it. I just won't comment.
Oh,
Jimmy Church. I don't know who decided to put that in there.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to say it was KARI.
Probably. It was probably KARI.
Speak your piece. Speak your piece.
No, I'll wait for us all to have an opinion.
I'll go first. I have no issue. I have no issue going first. I don't really care for him. He's not my favorite. I don't learn anything from him. He doesn't bring new, interesting people in front of anyone. I feel like when he interviews, it is incredibly boring. Like someone else is writing all the questions for him and he doesn't really know what's going on. So I just don't watch. That's how I feel about him.
Yeah.
You know what, Joe? I could have had something to say about Go Buckley Ted-Base, so maybe I'll add that.
You basically said everything I was going to say.
Yeah, I'll go.
The guy promoted David Wilcock, who was literally shilling a GoFundMe for this guy called Pete Peterson that got $60,000. No one knows where that money went. If you ask him about it, he'll block you. So it's like that's real integrity there, buddy.
Point of privilege, I'm going to say. Point of privilege, I'm going to say, as a podcast host, what is Jimmy's job? Even though you will disagree with me, Kari, I don't think it's fair to hold him accountable to who he interviews whatsoever. You're a podcast host. You interview who you want. Jamie and I have interviewed plenty of people that we probably wish that we didn't later on in life. But is that our responsibility?
To like 100,000
not our responsibility.
Then he can't be classed as a
you
journalist.
Also can't also can't assume that every single host knows that people are doing bad things or that the money
he promoted it himself though. That's my point. Is he was the one
know how would he know David. How would he know that then like where
because 2 minutes of googling would tell him
don't know
like
about.
If he is going to have a guest, right, and he can't spend 2 minutes finding out whether the fucking person he's talking to is a piece of shit or not, then he shouldn't be doing a fucking show.
I think that's like two different standards. I just think of him as the radio. A radio host is going to interview anybody. They're going to talk about what they're doing.
Okay, but this isn't 1996. We have the ability to, in real time, fact check and find out whether people are full of shit. So if people aren't doing that and they're just chasing the easy dollar by spreading bullshit and just going, oh, I'm just an entertainer, then they should be doing a fucking show. It's irresponsible.
We're not always meant to be responsible. I think we're just like doing our job, you know?
Well, so the job when you talk about like the UFO community is to be fucking journalist, is to look into shit, is to not just do this performative bullshit, which is 99% of UFO Twitter and all the fucking people who have those podcasts who are just like, Lou Elizondo just said, yeah, some of it's balloons, but what about the other things? And fucking poll these people. That's what these people are doing. They're doing it right now. We're seeing it in real time on Twitter because the president, who I don't like, fucking came on and said, well, we probably shot down some private weather balloons and some scientific stuff. Okay, so why did you spend $1.6 million on missiles alone shooting down fucking balloons? Because everybody freaked out over a Chinese spy balloon. Not to mention the fact that
he wants to be the wartime president.
Yeah, every hour in F-22, I think it's 3 million.
Point of privilege. Point of privilege. I think here, what I think everyone's issue with Jimmy Church is that he, at the end of the day, is an entertainer and not a ufologist. Okay,
he's not very entertaining.
Regardless, he is somebody who has a show that is for entertaining. And it's of my personal opinion that he's actually not into any of this stuff, which is why when he asks questions, it comes off very weird. And his questions tend to not make sense with his guests that he's talking to because he doesn't actually care about any of this stuff. I think that he fake pretends to be into all of it. And he is here as an entertainment host. I think that he was a radio guy and he found a niche. And it got big. And so now that's what he does. Like I said, I don't think that he's genuinely into a lot of this stuff. I think it's very much just like, this is the niche in the world that he's in. And, you know, that's part of entertainment in life. Like I said, I'm not a fan of it. And I know that there's a lot of people who aren't a fan of it, but there's a lot of people who are really into him, which is why he's successful. And so like he has that going for him. But for me, there's nothing authentic about him. So it makes sense to me, Kari, that he wouldn't know this stuff. He would push things that he doesn't really understand or didn't research. Because at the end of the day, he's not really passionate about this topic by any means.
Well, and if you've interviewed the same person, so like let's just say at the beginning of Wilcock's career, I think that he was a decent person. I feel like people that were into Wilcock probably realized.
Like Greer, yeah.
He was a very decent person for a long time. So if you've known someone for years and years and years, and then whatever the fuck they come about, you just whatever the hell they're working on, you interview them. Why would you be like, no, because of this one thing? Like, no, you just fucking interview them. They're your friends. You've known them forever. Do I watch the show? No.
Yeah.
I don't watch the show, but I think that I'm just being a bit more realistic in what life is fucking like, especially in the entertainment world.
What we're talking about is essentially the entire meaning behind the meme shirt that we sell on our store. Go check it out. I hate it here. This is why I hate it here, because it's completely like a capital-based economy devoid of actual like. There's a reason why a lot of the UFO researchers who are actually out there doing real research don't engage in any of the social media or the entertainment complex that's built up around the subject, because it's just full of people like Jimmy Church who will interview anybody saying anything under the guise of entertainment, but like won't admit any responsibility for propagating harmful views. So like Ismail Perez the other day, right? Literally SSP LARPing shit that you can trace back to the 50s. It's very ethnocentric,
but people eat it up.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, people eat it up because they're stupid.
Yeah,
like there's no critical thought.
No, there's.
I don't think that's harsh at all. People are stupid. People will listen to it and go, "Oh my god," and then that they get what they want out of it, but they don't do any actual critical thought about where do these ideas come from? What is the source of them? What's the intent behind the creation of them? Which was racism.
It goes back to entertainment, which Jamie was saying, and unfortunately there's nothing more American than entertainment.
I think this is a really good I'll put it in perspective this way. Think about all these UFO channels that popped up over the last year and a half and then magically disappeared once they got a little peek behind curtains about how things really happen in the UFO world. And then now they're really not involved with it anymore. Like a lot of channels got a little peek behind how rude and awful and horrible it is behind the scenes. And now they don't really have anything to do with it anymore. So that's also, listen, not just the UFO world. That's every fucking thing you look behind. It is all bullshitty and slimy and horrible. And then
maybe humans suck. Maybe I hate it here.
I think so. I think it.
Yeah.
Jamie needs to finish that thought because I absolutely agree. It doesn't have to do with the topic. It's just human nature.
Yeah, 1,000%. And that's what I'm trying to say. It's like you get so hyped up and really into these things, and then you pull back that curtain and you actually really do the research and start looking, and it's fucking awful. And then you are not into what you were originally into anymore. And that's like the cycle of life. And it has everything to do with just humans and their constant need to take advantage of every situation that they can.
So I will say something. The issue here is that we're much smarter, but we don't know what to do with it, and that's where the problems come from.
I'll tell you, one of the things someone told me a while ago was that I would realize that when it comes to ufology, this is just a business, and so you can't hold people to the same.
I can, because I'm not in it.
They should do it because of this and because of this and because of this. No, at the end of the day, when it comes to certain people and then they take on the jobs, then it becomes a business. It's no longer just about the fact that they love UFOs or they saw UFO when they were a kid. When you put it into the sphere of like when you're working with something, when you're constantly putting effort into something, if you have managers, I mean, like all these things. You're now in the business sphere. And it's just another sector of business, unfortunately. Fortunately, I don't know.
Anybody that came around after 2017 doesn't have a fucking clue, for the most part, doesn't have a fucking clue about the actual history of the topic, the actors that have come in and out, the intelligentsia folk. Like, they don't have a clue. They come in because they see, like, someone on Fox News or some shit, and then they go onto UFO Twitter and think that that's it. You know, or they watch the Bob Lazar movie and it's like, it's like, yes, it's an entry point, but like, I feel like people have to do better on the inside to educate them once they get in to go, oh, by the way, here's a little map Over there's the alt-right Nazis. Over there's the intelligentsia folk. Over here, we've got this kind of middle ground where we don't deal with any of that shit. We just talk about.
You're muted, dumbass.
Point of personal privilege. I'm sorry, Kari, but here's the problem with that, though. The problem is that society as a whole likes all of those things, because when you are full of integrity and do the right thing and are in it for the right reasons, you end up not being successful. Us included in that fucking umbrella. I was like, the thing is like the problem is that if you don't play into that and you don't play into the whole entertainment side of things, you don't become successful in it. And that's exactly why we only get 200 views on a video, but you know what? We have our fucking integrity.
Right. Like, that's what I mean. I think we're a success because I don't care about the numbers and I don't care about us making any money. That's not why I do the show.
1,000%.
That's not why I'm in the subject. So, like, my metric for success is, did I have a successful conversation where viewpoints were exchanged? Did I have fun? Did I learn something? That's my metric for success with it.
I've been having these conversations,
but unfortunately, the whole famous making a shit ton of money and doing it in the big spotlight and having millions of people.
That's not ufology.
I know, but I'm saying though, but that comes with all that other bullshit. It is no longer ufology. I agree. It is entertainment at that point, but like, it is what it is. You have to sign that check in order to get into that club, and that's part of the rules of it.
Well,
that's stupid.
Okay. No, I mean,
that's stupid.
I don't know, because
gatekeeping an entire cottage industry.
I'm gonna say no, because Kari would put us in a UFO-tainment sphere. Kari would not put us in the sphere of people that are like having these groundbreaking conversations and doing something for the topic. I can 100% guarantee that Kari would think of us as being those UFO-tainment
smarter than all of us.
Well, yeah, but so like you guys have to be honest with yourselves on all fronts, you know.
No, I'm happily aware that we're UFO and yell at them. Like,
point of personal privilege.
Yes, Tony.
I think we are extremely honest with ourselves.
We're very honest,
and I think that as far as the UFO community goes, they are broken in. Again, I'm one of those people who came in and started a podcast and had the interviews and then just realized that the fucking community is so toxic.
Mm-hmm.
But I was lucky enough to find y'all motherfuckers. Woo! Is it luck or is it?
Yeah, no one knows.
No, we searched you out for years, but go ahead.
But the thing is, it's people who don't trust the government against people who are like the government is the ultimate authority. Because if you look at UFO Twitter, if you really look at it, you have people who... Do you think Lou Elizondo is not a fucking government agent? He was a counterintelligence agent.
He's literally doing his job.
Nobody in the military. I spent 10 years in the military.
His skill set to the UFO community.
Exactly.
I spent 10 years in the military. Nobody fucking trusts those people. Those people work for the CIA and give terrorists money to kill other terrorists. That's their job.
Corey, shush.
They're not good people. The fact that this dude is a
counterintelligence operative.
But that goes back to what you guys were saying, though, is like the people that got here after 2017. I think if you were here way before that, then you probably already don't trust the government. You're just like, what the fuck? We've been learning about all the bullshit they've been doing, especially in regards to UFOs for so long. Why would we just be like, yes? If you haven't been here, right? If you haven't been here and you saw something on the news and then was like, "Whoa, this is crazy! This person's like leading this whole world of UFOs," then of course you would be about it. It confuses me when people have been here for a long time and then they still go for that. I feel very confused about it because it gets worded in a way of like, well, we're doing things for you guys. Like, we're helping you guys. If you want to help me out, get the fuck out of the way.
Point of personal privilege. I just hate everyone and everything.
Stop, Jamie. That's not helpful.
But it's funny.
Okay. It's not. It's not.
Okay, well, bye, Jamie.
Yeah, she needed to go anyway.
Okay, what's next?
But
What's the next topic?
It's a difficult subject.
Keep going. We got 30 minutes left.
I mean, that was a good little church sermon that we did.
If you guys know me, you know that I walk the line between everything in this community. I'm on the line.
Unimaginable power that no one ever knows about. What's next?
That's very true. The war on drugs.
Oh, good.
I do want to comment at this really quickly. Perceptions will always be different anyways. Fake or not fake, no one sees or learns information the same way. It's like putting a puzzle together. No one person has the right or wrong answer. That's absolutely true. I think at the end of the day, I remind myself of that all the time. It's really easy when it comes to this subject to pick a side. I am notorious for dancing on sets.
Milk toast.
I very much am just like, you know, I feel this side, I feel that side, I feel this side. But I think it's just because I inherently understand that, like, everyone has a different point of view. Everyone comes from different backgrounds. Different information was put in front of them, you know, and when it comes to the field of unknown, at the end of the day, you're absolutely right, Angel Wings. We don't know. And it's really easy to get caught up in that. And I will say that I've been caught up in that so many times. And if that was, you know, taken by some people, I had that moment, I apologize, because who fucking knows?
I have something to add on to that. Like, it is like a puzzle where everybody's trying to put together the same puzzle, but no one has the picture on the front of the box.
Right.
Like, no one actually knows what it looks like, and we're all trying to put it together. That's why we don't. Because no one's had that broad overview of, this is what it is, and I'm going to slap it on a box for you to put together yourself. Like, we don't have that.
But thank God.
That's why it's hard.
If that ever comes forward, don't trust that. I feel like I've said this so many times, I'm going to be like a broken record, that, like, if anyone decides what this topic is, that's not the person to listen to. And I truly believe that a part of this phenomena is never supposed to be known. That's a part of the mystery. You're supposed to think out the box. You're supposed to always be behind. You're always supposed to be guessing and creating and
human understanding.
And I
it's
think
always going to do that.
And I always say this, I think that's the purpose with a lot of things. I honestly think when it comes to, like, mysterious topics, I feel like it's a part of our human evolution to understand that there are things that we're not going to understand. And it's just exciting to explore the possibilities and to talk with you guys and think of new outcomes, new explanations, new possibilities. Like, that to me is what I think it's about. It's like learning to dive into the unknown, have questions, but maybe not solidify your answers.
That's a good way. Be malleable.
Super fucking malleable. All right, you guys can go first on this next one.
The war on drugs.
I'll be right back. I'm listening, but I'll be right back.
I mean, this kind of ties into what we were saying earlier about lower income areas, because a lot of the time these places are lower income because of the war on drugs. And yeah, I mean, I feel like we already kind of covered this earlier. Do you have anything to add, Tony?
I think the only thing I want to add is the war on drugs has had more of a negative impact on the communities that are affected by it than anybody else. Not to get into all of these things, but back in the early 90s, there was a lot of push on, I think it was even the late 80s. It was Reagan, right? So that would have been the 80s.
Well,
Reagan did the war on drugs.
Reagan and then HW.
Yep. And where are we at? Where are we at now?
Well, it failed, right? I mean, I always think of the Bill Hicks quote. Whenever I think about the war on drugs, I think of the quote. It implies that there is a war and that drugs are winning.
Yeah.
Like, when you actually think about it, it's a bit silly.
It's ridiculous. It's the same thing. Drugs.
What I find funny is at the same time, the CIA are trafficking cocaine from Colombia into Florida. Like, whilst all of this like war on drugs is going hard on crack and in the cities, they're literally bringing in cocaine by like the kilogram.
Yeah. What is the point of the DEA?
It's just a rubber stamp on the drug deals, really. But...
Yeah, that's all it is. And the problem is, especially so, I was stationed in El Paso from 2010 to 2012, and we witnessed the bloodiest year in Juarez, which is literally...
That's right over the border, right?
Yeah, that's
right.
Our neighbors.
Did you see Sicarios?
The highway. So when I was going to work one day, there was a couple bodies hanging off of the overpass, and I was just driving. I was like, "Oh, that sucks." Dead people.
Wow, that's pretty wild.
Well, you get numbed to it because you have people knocking on your door at 1 a.m. You live in an area where there's cartels and everything else, so you answer your door with a gun. You have to understand that these places are not good places. So in order to make it to now, you kind of have to be an asshole.
Yeah.
And I've opened my doors multiple times across all hours because something has been heard, gunshots or anything else, and I've opened them and I've been armed. That's not a bad thing. I haven't shot anybody.
Okay.
No, I don't know if I believe that one, but
all right.
No, I don't think shooting people is the right idea. But
I'm gonna say that I think that the recent fentanyl issue that we have is 100% being thralled by the government and not by Mexican cartels, as they would like us to think that it is.
I think they're a little bit like that, but
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I find it hard to believe that with America's capabilities that we wouldn't have put a stop to that if we really wanted to. If we really wanted to, I feel like they would have bombed the place, any of the places. I don't know. I think it's always set up. You got to set up people. You capture the drugs. They go in jail. You get the money.
Risk, right? You hit a factory in Bogota or somewhere. That cartel, if they find out you signed the order, they will kill you and your family. So there's a certain element of proportionate response, right?
Right. You also can't use the U.S. military on U.S.
That's another conspiracy theory, Enzo.
I mean,
it's not a conspiracy theory; it's a fact.
No, posse
no, I'm talking to Enzo. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
So yes, but we all know that they get around that with the CIA and the DIA anyway. So
the CIA is not supposed to operate on.
They do anyway. They admitted they do, even though it's against the charter of the CIA to operate clandestinely. They do it anyway.
Well,
or they just create a whole new thing called the NSA and go, "Oh, we're not the CIA, so we can do stuff now." Mm-hmm. There's no difference. The paychecks are the same place. Heck, the Federal Reserve, by the way.
I think it's interesting that there's other parts of the world, like I'm going to throw Amsterdam, where things are legalized and their crime rate is lower than ours. And so I kind of feel like it doesn't make sense to have a war on drugs. I think it's weird in general that the government wants to say what is and is not okay for us to put in our bodies, period. I think that's a bit odd. It feels like this big parent that's like, you're allowed to drink all this alcohol, but you cannot take these shrooms. Where it's like, why should I listen to you? Like, why is it that we let government decide what drugs we can and can't take? That's what I don't agree with.
Because of propaganda.
Legalize crack. Am I going to do crack? No. But do I think it should be illegal? No, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't. I think that people should do whatever they want.
There are some things that should be illegal.
I'm, as you know, a bit of an anarchist, so that's why I'm like, let the people do what they want. But that's again because I know that whether you legalize crack or not, people are still going to do crack. And I just don't think that we should overload our jail system with people that have already been crackheads on the street. Cool. You give them a place to stay and some food to eat.
So what you're basically agreeing upon is that there's 20 or 30 million AR-15s.
Crackheads can't afford to have the cars, okay?
And the people who own them should never be criminalized for owning them.
I understand that. I agree with that, Tony.
I mean, that like this...
No matter what you talk about.
No, we're not doing the Second Amendment thing right now.
No, but it's fine. But listen, I'm going to say I agree with you. I think no matter what it is, drugs, guns, no matter what, there is a potential for nothing bad to happen. And then there's a potential for something really bad to happen. But at the end of the day, when something bad happens, that is two human choices. That's a choice that someone made. They chose to take something and make it bad. And we could apply that to anything and everything. So why do we pick and choose which ones we want to focus on to legalize and not legalize? I would never vote to criminalize guns. I won't. Do I own one? No. Do I want to? I don't know. But I don't stand behind criminalizing certain things. I can't think of anything I would criminalize.
Taxing them is a good, like the way that
absolutely not. No.
The way that marijuana is being
taxed,
and then that money being, like in Colorado, that money being folded into building new schools. I think that was a really good use of that tax income from
towards mental health. There's things that
obviously that doesn't apply to every drug, but like
there's things that contribute.
Is a good idea.
No, I'm glad we're talking about this because there's people who've talked about like we should tax every bullet at 300%. No. Stop.
Yeah, that's a good way to get firearms companies to hate you.
Yeah.
But
and the problem is, and this is the thing that nobody fucking thinks about. People want to, especially in America, people want to tax these companies, sue these companies, do everything that they can to make these companies non-existent. Who the fuck do you think makes the weapons for your military in the United States? These companies. And they want to sue them and drive them out of business? They are literally talking about neutering the entire United States.
Neutering.
Because wars are not fought in the air. They're not fought in cybersecurity. They are fought on ground. That is what Ukraine is seeing right now. Russia is about to put 900,000 people into the Ukraine.
Jesus.
And in America, we're sitting here going, we want to sue all our gun manufacturers. Who the fuck do you think supplies these people with weapons?
That's true. I agree.
American gun manufacturers.
So this lobbying to
I don't think this should be taxed.
Who's leading the charge with that, and what's their affiliation? What's this effort to?
They have a clause called
disarm the military.
So when I first came into the military and I got my first service weapon, second service weapon, it was a brand new M4, circa 2010. Brand new. Had to clean all the gunk out of the motherfucker and everything else. The shipping gunk out of it. Shot great, did great, wonderful. The next unit I went to, I had a gun older than I was that was converted to an M4. Shot okay-ish. Figured out how it shot and everything and still managed to shoot expert. But these people don't have the training to use the things that they want to use. There's a huge problem here. The world doesn't understand that Russians are willing to sacrifice every single fucking person. They don't care.
Numbers.
Yep. I mean, you're right.
The rest of the world is like, we don't fight that way. That's not how we do things.
Is this? I can't tell whether that's a.
I am confused by this comment, and I need us to talk about it.
Which one?
The Second Amendment is anti-Semitic. You know, you're welcome to come on and debate that point if you want.
I would like to know that too.
No, so I kind of get where they're coming from because they're kind of coming from the origins of the Bill of Rights and they're just mutating it into something else. Originally, and this is where Joe Biden said when the Second Amendment was written, everybody couldn't just own whatever gun they wanted to. And that everybody was black people. Couldn't own guns because they were slaves. There's a lot.
I'm sure there's a lot of people now that can't buy guns because they're wage slaves. So
felons,
what's changed?
Yeah, well, they're expensive, but
like all that's changed is like the racist undertone has been taken out, and now it's just a purely capital-based judgment.
Well, they created the Second Amendment at a time when they were hiring private people with warships. You could own a cannon, so every time that fucking dumbass says, back in 1776, when the Second Amendment was passed, you couldn't own a cannon. You can own a cannon. You can buy one now. They're not that expensive. $500. Buy a cannon. But at the same time, they were conscripting warships from privateers during the American Revolution. And they wrote the fucking Constitution to allow it. A comma denotes a different subject.
Yes, sir.
Well, shit. That's all I have to say. Listen, I'm going to pull another one, okay?
Okay.
No,
I can talk about guns for fucking 20 years.
You're a funny one.
No.
Be funny.
Ooh, balloons. Okay. I think that this is probably recent balloonage. I don't really know if this pertains to any of the other topics that we wrote in, but I don't even know. Kari, you go first.
That's all I got.
Okay. Tony.
We shot down a bunch of balloons. We spent millions of dollars doing it.
Yeah, I'm really just... I see all of the furore. I see all the... Oh, Biden did a press conference and repeated what the press secretary said. It's so important. I don't care.
Because people pushed for him to do that.
Maybe it's because, like, Yeah, they did push him.
Yeah, because he should do his job every once in a while.
He is doing his job, but also, why does it matter if the Defense Department is telling us something?
You gotta
just
stop
hearing it
simping
from
so hard,
President Biden. I don't simp for Biden.
Daddy Biden.
He's definitely Grandpa. He's Gramps.
Yeah. As he tried to sniff
Grandpa
your hair.
Joe.
Oh no, you're too old.
I don't know about you, but I'll take a sniffing over being grabbed by the pussy. So that's how I've always.
He definitely did that to Tara Reid.
I don't know how you equated Trump in that situation, but
because I don't care about being sniffed by anybody. Smell me. I have delicious perfume. I wear perfume even at home. I don't go anywhere, so I don't care. Sniff away. Sniff away, baby.
I have to cook dinner.
The modern left, everybody.
And oh my god!
Can we run? Can we run the end of the show? God.
Well, I have a couple of things. So, I was going to recommend a book. Don't you dare cut me off. This happens every time.
I won't.
All right.
I won't.
So I'd like to recommend.
Touch that button
I'm reading Ian Banks, A Player of Games. That's my
What's
book
that
recommendation for the week. It's about a dude who has to go play games.
Is it a real? Is it?
No, it's like sci-fi.
I'm not into that.
I'll read the blurb. The culture, a human-machine symbiotic society, has thrown up many great game players. One of the greatest is Gurger, Jernel Morat Gurger, the player of games, master of every board, computer, and strategy. Basically, it's like
fun.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
A good time.
Also, I got a thing to show.
Okay, get to showing.
I need to explain the context though. So you remember, where's this thing? Here we go. So there was a clip of a lady singing in a car along to a beep that was going on when her partner left the car and he took his keys. So I took that and at the time that I did it, I took all of the different you can do the mashups on Instagram or whatever of people singing along or doing a beat, and I put them all together. So I thought I'd play that because it's very cool. Okay.
Hit me.
Wait, I gotta stop the music.
He took his keys. He took his keys. He took his keys. Now this thing just keeps ringing. Now this thing keeps on ringing. Oh, oh, oh,
I love that you put all that together. I think that's so awesome.
That was a really fun morning because that original version I listened to it 50 times. Just that is that scale is just woo. As a piano player, I appreciated it, but then getting that beat and then getting the undertone guy and then the two high notes, I was like, I have to put this together. I can't not do it now.
Which is super cool.
So
it is super cool.
I made that. I sent it to the lady, but she never replied.
She probably will. I put that shit on TikTok. If only you still had TikTok, I would put it up. Well, thank you guys for joining us for another Uninformed episode. Please send us in some topics. Don't be scared.
Write in the comments. The most important thing you can do as a viewer of the show, if you want us to succeed, is leave a comment. Let us know if you like the show. Just write comment for the algorithm, or let us know topics, and we'll add it to the fishbowl of perfunctory items.
And not the live chat, like an actual comment.
An actual comment.
Do a comment because we can't.
Hi, UFO man. We're just finishing, but go back and re-listen, bro. Go back to the beginning. You can do it. I believe in you. If you missed some of the show, go back and listen. It's all good.
He's so good, but yes, for sure.
What are your plans for the rest of the evening, the weekend? What are you all doing?
Working.
I'm
working on something. Dinner. It's exciting.
Cool.
I need to cook dinner. I want to have a great pasta tonight. And
Cool.
Yeah. Kari, you?
7-year-old
I am
wine.
going to be
7-year-old wine.
I'm probably going to be chained to my desk for the next like 5 hours.
Yeah.
I will be. There's a good show on at 11 p.m. Eastern tonight. It's Mind Escape podcast. It's going to be Andrew Gallimore. So
that's awesome.
There's going to be an awesome conversation. So hopefully see some of you people there.
Hell yeah.
And I have nothing else to shill other than my lovely face. So I'll get out of here. I love
Fantastic.
You all. This has been
we love you all.
Uninformed. We hope you have been informed by our uninformedness.
Absolutely. Bye, guys.
Uninformed and understaffed.